Cop knocks on your door, and the moment you open it, even a crack, he puts his foot right in the doorway. Most people don't even realize what just happened. Legally, that single move can change everything about what happens next, and it can cost you your entire case before you've said a single word. So if you don't want to make that mistake, watch this video till the end, because I'm going to explain the exact amendment in 30 seconds that can protect you in this type of situation. Don't worry, you don't have to remember the whole boring amendment, because I'll give you the exact wording straight from it, so you can use it in your situation. And the moment he hears those exact words, he'll step back faster than he came. Hi, my name is Landon Vance, and I share valuable information like this with my audience every day. So if you haven't followed, follow for content like this that can save you thousands of dollars from being wasted on court fees and fines. Now let's get into the mistakes people make in this exact moment. Mistakes that most people don't even know they're making until it's too late. The worst thing most people do is open the door all the way, thinking that's just basic politeness. The moment you open that door fully and step back, you may have just given implied consent for the officer to view or even enter parts of your home. And anything he sees in what's called plain view can be used against you even without a warrant. Another mistake people make is trying to physically close the door once the foot is already in. That reaction feels natural, but it can be framed as obstruction or even assault on an officer, depending on how it's reported. And once that framing exists, the conversation is no longer about why he's at your door, it's about what you just did. A lot of people also make the mistake of answering questions right there at the doorway. Is so-and-so here? Can I ask you a few questions? People answer instinctively, not realizing that anything said at the door, without a warrant, without an arrest, is still fully admissible. You haven't been arrested, so you might assume you're not really in a legal situation yet, but you are from the very first question. But the biggest mistake of all is stepping outside to talk instead of staying inside. The moment you step out onto the porch or the yard, you've left the protection of your home's Fourth Amendment status. And now you're standing in a space where the rules are different and far less protective of you. Now you might be thinking, if we're not supposed to do any of that, then what are we supposed to do the moment we see that foot in the door? Here's exactly what you need to do step by step. You do not open the door any further. You do not step outside. You calmly say through the door if needed, "Officer, do you have a warrant?" If the answer is no, you say, "I do not consent to a search and I am not answering questions without my lawyer present." Then you close the door. That's it. You are not required to let anyone into your home without a warrant, and you are not required to answer questions at your doorstep, even if it feels rude or uncomfortable to say no. Why does this work? Because the Fourth Amendment protects your home more strongly than almost any other space. Courts have repeatedly ruled that a person's home carries the highest expectation of privacy. Unless there's a valid warrant or an actual emergency happening in front of the officer, they cannot force entry, and you are under no legal obligation to make their job easier by opening the door, stepping outside, or answering questions. If the officer does have a warrant, you're allowed to ask to see it before opening the door completely. You can ask him to slide it under the door or hold it up to a window. A valid warrant will have a judge's signature, the exact address, and what exactly they're allowed to search for. And officers are legally required to stick to what's written on that warrant, nothing more. As soon as the interaction ends, take a few minutes to write a detailed account while it's still fresh. Not just the basics, but the sequence of events. Note exactly when the door was first opened, what was said before and after the foot came in, whether a warrant was ever shown or mentioned, and the exact wording the officer used when he asked to enter. If a warrant was shown, take a photo of it if you can, or at minimum, note the case number, the judge's name, and what it authorized them to search for, because officers exceeding the scope of a warrant is one of the most common grounds attorneys use to get evidence thrown out. If no warrant was shown and entry was attempted anyway, this is exactly the kind of detail that turns into a strong Fourth Amendment violation claim, but only if it's documented accurately and soon after it happens. Memory fades fast, and courts weigh contemporaneous notes far more heavily than a recollection from weeks later. This is general legal information, not legal advice. For your specific situation, consult a licensed attorney in your state.